What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. Today we're doing the inevitable 5 things I hate about my car video, particularly on my FL5 2024 Honda Civic Type-R. Now, quite honestly, after driving this car and owning it for a little bit of time now, I honestly don't really hate anything. I think Honda did a pretty good job for what you get out of this car. I'm pretty darn impressed. So we're gonna kind of tweak today's video. 5 things that are kind of less than ideal you might hate about this, probably not honestly, but 5 things about this car that are kind of interesting, quirks, slight downfalls, but not really. Anyway, if you're looking to buy the FL5 Honda Civic and these 5 things deter you from buying it, is what it is. If not, which is probably most people, these are just the 5 little weird things to look out for. If you're buying a car, it's quite nice to know any and all downfalls, and this is all I can come up with for downfalls with the new Honda Civic Type-R. So number 1 on the list is the fact that this is a Honda Civic. Now here's what I mean by that. This is a cool car. The Type-R, anyone in the enthusiast world knows, a Type-R is a pretty well-respected performance car. The funny thing is, when you try to explain this car to non-car people, it goes right over their head. Pretty much anybody in the world knows what a Honda Civic is. It is the definition of a basic economy car. Nothing against the Honda Civic, it is a fine automobile. There are millions out there. Probably you or someone you know owns a Honda Civic. So it's a super popular, very common car. So when you tell normal people this is the Honda Civic Type-R, especially if you're an enthusiast and you're telling them that you're excited about it or you love the car, they might kind of have a head scratcher look when they look back at you, because they're kind of questioning, why are you telling me this about a Honda Civic? They're common, typical cars. What do you mean a Type-R? That means nothing. So for normal people, the Type-R means nothing to them. It's a Honda Civic. So it takes a little bit of extra explaining that this is actually a cool Honda Civic, best one they've ever made, and is a true performance car. So that's one thing I've noticed with non-car people. It's just a little funny telling them it's a Honda Civic Type-R, which is not a typical Civic. Car people know it, but non-car people, it is really weird explaining this car. Number 2 on the list is the exhaust. So you're gonna see this cool looking triple exhaust tip in back. I personally do think it's cool. Some people think it's a little gimmicky. While technically a 4-cylinder does not need 3 exhaust tips, obviously it is 1 exhaust going the whole way back, and that's just the tailpipe. So it's a little on the gimmicky side. However, I think it looks cool, but it doesn't sound all too impressive. At the end of the day, this still is a 4-cylinder Honda Civic, and for how good this is in performance driving, track days, things like that, it sounds like a Honda Civic. Now, while it may not sound like anything from the outside, it does have the fake engine sound. So you have the R, the Sport, as well as Comfort. So from the inside, this car sounds a lot better, especially when engine sound is in R mode. However, they're all fake. So if we play with engine sound, we're in the R mode right now. All right, if we go to Comfort mode now, haven't changed anything aside from the engine sound. You can still hear the engine, but there is clearly a difference. So you get a gimmicky 3 exhaust tip in back, serves no functional purpose aside from the cool looks, and you have fake engine sounds on the interior to make you think you're in a car that sounds good, but in reality, nothing amazing is coming out of these tips. Number 3 on the list is the fact that there is no garage door button in this car. Now, this is Honda's most expensive Civic. You would think that would just be kind of common sense feature in a car like this. Normally you have it on the rearview mirror, on the visor somewhere, on the ceiling. There's no garage door button. Now, it's quite nice to have versus using the little fob that a lot of houses will have with them. But from what I've heard, I think you have to download Honda Link, which is an app on your phone, pair something, connect something, work it with your Apple CarPlay, and then kind of get something to work. I messed with that app, I downloaded it, I did as many steps as I could. I didn't see anything about that, and I didn't really want to create some stupid password account or anything. Honestly, I think it's really dumb when car companies have features that are hidden where you have to have an app on your phone, create some account. I think that is just ridiculous. I would like a normal garage door button in this car. I think it would be quite nice. Now, this car doesn't sit in the garage, it sits outside, but there's a lot of times when I come home and I don't want to have to fiddle with my key, go through the front door, and just press a button, walk through the garage, especially if I have stuff. So I think that's something that would be nice to see in this car. And maybe for those of you who own these cars, am I missing something with the app? Did I just do something wrong? I'm not a tech savvy person. I don't really like all that crap on my phone. I'm just not a big fan of that stuff. So maybe I missed something, but that would be quite nice. So for number 4 on the list, we are talking about the trunk in this car. Now, I think every car I've ever owned, this is always on my list. It seems like no car can make the trunk to my liking. Now, to be quite honest, this is a practical trunk. It's easy to use, all the good stuff you would want. The funny thing is, and this is just more of a quirk, again, not a dislike or a hate, there's a button on the key fob that has a trunk logo, as you can tell. We got lock, unlock, and the trunk button. This is not a trunk popper. It will not pop the trunk that 1/4 inch like most cars. This is simply a button to unlock the trunk. So, locking the car, as you can tell. So for whatever reason, if I press that, you see the lights go, and I'm able to do this with the car locked. So the rest of the doors are still locked. Here's the interesting thing though, if I lock the car again, this is a smart key. You know, this is what modern cars have. With the key in my pocket, all I have to do is press the button anyways. It unlocks and opens the trunk. So why is there a button to unlock the trunk independently from the doors? I don't honestly see the need to ever use that. Now, I'm not saying that it is unnecessary, just I don't see a need where you would ever be in a circumstance where you wouldn't have the key fob with you anyways. And if you're gonna be the one pressing the button to unlock the trunk, just leave it in your pocket and go open the trunk. The only thing I can possibly think of is maybe you're somehow upstairs in your house looking out your window and someone in your driveway wants to open your trunk and you can just press the button. But there's no logical reason to where you would really ever just unlock the trunk when it already unlocks by just pressing the button on the trunk. So that is a little interesting, useless button on the key fob, but that's how it works. So lastly, number 5 on the list is the rear seats. Now they are roomy, which is quite nice. However, I really think Honda skimped out on the Type-R's back seats. The front seats have the awesome looking red micro suede on the surfaces, and the whole backs is made of this cool black micro suede. You only get basic fabric on the lower side. You got a cool plastic trim piece with Type-R. In back though, you just get cheap basic fabric with red stitching. Now you have the red seat belts back here, red carpeting, which again is a cool touch, and there is the micro suede on the door panel, but they were so close to having the whole interior super cool with the micro suede material, the red color. Why wouldn't they just do it in the back seat as well? Now, it's not uncommon. There's a lot of cars out there that back seats might get the genuine leather. They might put fake leather in the back. My old R35 Nissan GTR was like that. Had the semi-aniline leather up in front and vinyl in back, and not even any stitching to match. Years later, they added the stitching, but it was still fake leather. So it's not like that is uncommon, but it definitely is noticeable in this car to have red seats in the front, black in the back. Maybe it would have been too much red, not sure. I'm sure it was just a cost-cutting strategy, give you the sweet seats up front and just put generic ones in back with the stitching. So it would have been nice to have the same kind of cool seats just to tie it in together. On top of that, there's no air vents or real storage or center armrests. So maybe it would have been nice to just throw in a little bit of amenities. I mean, this is a practical car. Grown-ups can genuinely fit back here. This is a 4-seater. So you and 3 of your friends can literally go for a cruise in this car, but no air vents, no armrests, cheap fabric. Would have been kind of cool to see a little bit better detail back here. All right, well, there we have it. 5 things I hate about the FL5 Honda Civic Type-R, which has been tweaked to 5 kind of weird, interesting / quirky things with the car that are somewhat less than ideal. Comment below for those of you who own the new Type-R. Is there actually anything you genuinely hate about it? For my experience so far, I think for what you get, I think it seems to be a pretty fun car, and it's serving every purpose that I bought this car for. Those 5 things could be nicer. I mean, it wouldn't be bad to have Honda maybe tweak just a few little things to make this car that much more perfect. But I think for what you get, for what you pay, I think this car does have a lot to offer and just has a few minor nitpicky little quirks with it. So comment below, what do you guys think? If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for plenty more content, and I'll see you all in the next video.